Hello, everyone. My name is Adegoke Omotola. Adegoke Omotola. I'm the CEO of First Degree Consulting, a management consulting firm. I'm going to be sharing certain things that will interest you, that will also encourage you, that will challenge you tonight. I'm going to be sharing my business story. Um, I'm a certified customer service coach, as well as a leadership coach as well. My journey has been quite interesting. Um, I used to work in the banking industry, and I must say that it's been a privilege for me over almost 2 decades of being an entrepreneur. And as it is, a lot of water has passed under the bridge, and there's no doubt that you know it's been a privilege touching lives, and you know touching a lot of people, and adding value, because that's what I'm passionate about. So I'm going to be sharing my story tonight, and I know that this would impact quite a number of people. Yes, it will impact quite a number of people. Basically, I must say that I'm sharing this testimony to the glory of God. I'm still work in progress, and you know it's it's quite interesting that one has gotten to this level to be able to share something positive, you know and I don't take it lightly being able to come and share tonight. It's such an honor. It's a privilege to share, and I'm trusting that as many people that listen to this story, it would really minister to them. Right. So, who is Adegoke Omotola? Adegoke Omotola is, a leadership coach, like I said earlier, and is also a certified customer service trainer. I studied finance in university, and I also did a master's in property valuation and law at the City University Business School. Yes. So, and by the time I returned to Nigeria, I worked at UBA. At UBA, I was in the property division. From property division, I moved to commercial banking, and I left banking, in year 2000. That after working with Fidelity Bank. Fidelity Bank was, a good place for me, because I learned quite a number of things about relationship management, and it built me up, mentally for entrepreneurship. I left Fidelity Bank in year 2000, and I must say that it was quite tough leaving the bank. The first resignation letter that I wrote, I tore it because I didn't think I was making the right decision, although I was convinced. And when I got home, I told my wife that I wrote the letter and I tore it. She said, are you sure you're certain about what you wanted to do? So I summoned up courage. The next week, I decided to write another letter, and I took it to the bank. And when I got to the bank, I saw my AGM in charge of HR, Pastor Adedeji. He eventually became a GM. And I told him I was leaving the bank. He said, "What? Why are you resigning?" I said, I'm convinced that I have a bigger vision ahead. And although it was quite tough initially, I must say, because for the first 3 years, it was tough meeting my bills. It was, it was very turbulent. And but the testimony that came out is that eventually that my AGM, Pastor Dedeji and I, when I started, consulting, he became my partner because he had now retired from the bank, and we did a lot of transactions together up and down the country. Sometimes we travel to Delta State, Abuja, Port Harcourt. Sometimes we, our rooms are side by side, and we share a lot of wonderful memories. So I must say that being an entrepreneur is not been a smooth sail, but I'm just going to be sharing some lessons tonight, because you see, it's very important for us to share our stories. Wherever you are right now in your life, the things that have happened to you in the past can actually be a blessing to quite a number of people. But in this part of town, what happens is that sometimes we think that our experiences, our stories are, it don't really mean much. But, you find that abroad, people even monetize their stories, and I just want to show up even at this time to share my story. Quite a number of people will see things happening now, but it didn't just start like that. It's been work in progress. Sometimes I feel discouraged. Sometimes I feel, a bit, anxious. But I must say that my wife has been very, very instrumental. She's supported me. I put a post on Facebook about 3 days ago, sharing the fact that my wife has been, above and beyond. She's been excellent, So if you want to go into entrepreneurship and your partner does not support you, it can be tough. I know quite a number of my friends, senior friends that have 95% of my friends actually, those that were left, and decided to go into entrepreneurship. 95% of them have gone back into paid employment because one, school fees, their wife was putting them under pressure and so on and so forth. So even when you have a very good idea, if your partner does not believe in what you're doing, it can be tough because, school fees have to be paid, house rent have to be paid. Yes. Mr. Oyawoye, good to see you, sir. You said entrepreneurship road is a work in progress. It's work in progress, it's, you can be up today and down tomorrow, So, look at what is happening with this COVID. For entrepreneurs, you must just have to retool and, recalibrate. But for those in paid employment, like those who are, the industries have not been hit, they can work from home. But for an entrepreneur, you have to pay for your office, you have to pay for your staff, you have to pay for, and you still have to meet your commitments. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing tonight. I just want to quickly share, certain things, so that, we can, and if you have questions, well, it's a time to share. It's a time to just, give glory to God. So how did first degree consulting, how did it come up? Okay, my fish lady is also here. How are you, my sister? Yeah. Okay, my sister Ginger. You are here to hear my story. I celebrate you, my sister. You are one of those people that is always showing up, and we are learning from you. Now, how did I come up across the name First Degree Consulting? There's a friend of mine of blessed memory. His name is Deolu Otukwe. He was also an entrepreneur. Then, when I was in Fidelity Bank in Allen Avenue, I used to go to his office, the second floor. I used to go and share my ideas that I wanted to start entrepreneurship. And, he encouraged me so much, and I can never forget him. In fact, when I started entrepreneurship, I didn't start with consulting. I started with a company called Direct Property, which is still up and running. It's a property firm, went to, letting, sale of properties and, advisory. So he was the one that did my first business card for me. And, he did the business card. And while I was in the bank, I was trying to do the thing on the ground. But I realized that that was going to be conflict of interest, running a firm, and also some people still do it. They are inside the organization, but meanwhile they are also doing part-time, part-time work. But I felt that it was good for me to just disengage, and thankfully started off with a property firm. But property can be very tough because for the first 6 months I didn't earn income. I was earning 20 years ago, I was earning 140,000 naira a month, and that was quite some money. Even somebody that is earning 140,000, it's a lot of money. So from that to zero, and no income was coming in for months. So the first 6 months was the income I had was 20,000 naira. And I can remember the jubilation in my home. Then my wife was so happy that wow, this thing is working. But the 20,000 naira finished almost the same day. So now looking up for another funds to come in, and that one took another 6 months. And you can imagine the rent was due, things were I had to meet my commitments, and so it was quite turbulent initially. So how did I get into consulting? Consulting was just by chance. I met a gentleman in the UK when who actually was part of the people that ministered to me when I gave my life to Christ. And eventually, he said he was going to have a program for youth in a particular school. I won't mention the school now, in Ikeja. And so this school, they were doing summer. So he said that we're going to do etiquette, public speaking, games and so on. So for each child, they were supposed to pay 50,000 naira. So my own role was to do a session on public speaking. So I was involved from beginning to the end. So as we started this program, we did it for 1 week. But by the time we finished, this chap said to me, he said that, God bless you. I said, God bless you. I thought he was even going to give me about 50,000 naira, for at least for a job done. And he didn't give me a dime. And by the time I got home, I told my wife, I said, nothing came from this training, or nothing came in at all. And she was shocked. I was so discouraged. I said, wow, so is this how, entrepreneurship is? That I'm just going to work without any money coming in. So that God bless you. I must say that God has been faithful. So I sat down for 6 months. I began to think, I didn't know how to use PowerPoint. I didn't know how to speak in public. I didn't know how to, so I began to build up my skills. And hence, I started a company called Events World. That was the first, company. That was the first brand, the name that I used for my first speaking engagement, Events World. So when I got an opportunity in a particular organization. Yes, one of my students is on board. My sister, how are you? Great to see you. Yeah, so I started with this Events World. The company is still running, but not in terms of, yes, you're welcome. Yes, the cake maker is here. So the Events World, I used it, to get training gigs from banks, but it got to a stage that the banks now said to me that they could no longer accept that Events World because I need to incorporate a consulting firm. So I engaged a lawyer then who, it was tough even, incorporating the consulting firm because the requirements were, quite much. Then they said you must have an MBA, you must have studied, something that has to do with management and so on and so forth. So it took almost a year before they could, give us that name. So hence the birth of First Degree Consulting. First Degree Consulting is a name that I received, from God, and that's why, if you want to start a business, it's important the name It's not for you to have a name that you be excited about. The name is just like a child. The name of the child determines, so many things concerning the destiny of that child. There's so many businesses that start off and all of a sudden they fizzle out. So a name is so important. So what are we into? First degree consulting basically is yes, Mr. Oyawa, you said, I see from your story that there are many fields that, yes, improvement lessons, yes. My brother, there's no business that does not have, uh, stories. And these stories I'm sharing is also to revalidate that nothing good comes easy. Nothing good comes easy. There's always a backstory. There's always a backstory for any great brand. And, when you hear of the Dangotes, you hear of the Cadburys, you have the Nestle's, you have the, Amazons, they have a backstory. Microsoft started from, the garage, Apple, so ours is not an exception. But the good thing is that we're still, we're up there, out there, adding value, impacting people, but it's not been easy. It's not been easy, but we thank God. So what do I want to share quickly? I've shared how the name came up, the name First Degree Consulting. And what are we into? We're into, we do a lot of training for organizations in the area of customer service, customer retention, leadership. And most recently, we started teaching people how to write books, because we found that quite a number of people want to share their story, want to write books, but they've had challenges in terms of procrastination. So we try to help them to tweak their mindset, and we're finding that we're adding value in that area. In the area of customer service, I'm privileged to have written a book on customer retention and experiential approach. The first edition was written 10 years ago. And what that did for even my business was that it gave the business a voice. It gave the business an identity. It gave the business credibility. We weren't just seen as a consulting firm, but we were seen as experts. And so every session that we went to, either in banks or insurance companies or, the book was already, a game changer, so by the time we start the session, they've already subscribed to the books. By the time we even finish, even the students, they want to just have photo ops. They want us to sign autographs. And so the book was a game changer. The first edition was written in 2010. The second edition was written 2014. The third edition was written 2017. So don't ask me whether fourth edition is coming up. It should come up. It should come up because there are a lot of changes that have happened in the area of customer service. And so the other area that we also focused on, one thing led to another, was leadership. Service and leadership, they're like conjoined twins. You can't serve without becoming a leader. So when you're, in the area of customer service, the more you serve your customers, you stand out, you begin to excel. So I'm also a certified John Maxwell coach and trainer. Yes, I can see that. Okay, I see from, okay, yes. Okay. My sister is also here, Eniola Ajadu. Thank you for joining us. These are also my John Maxwell certified coaches. So, I've shared concerning the name, I shared concerning what we're into, and also what inspired me to start entrepreneurship. My dad worked as a lecturer, and he rose to become a vice chancellor, and he worked for about 30 years. And but what happened was that there was a lot of contention when he was, when my dad was a vice chancellor. There was a lot of pressure on him. Yes, Eniola, you're welcome. Oh, Collins is also here. Collins, you're welcome. Collins from Abuja, one of our GMT brothers. God bless you, sir. So while I saw what my dad went through as an employee, he rose to the pinnacle of his career. And I said to myself, what happened to my dad? I mustn't let it happen to me. You can imagine somebody that rose from just a lecturer and gets to vice chancellor, and people were contending for his, position and so on and so forth. And it was quite traumatic. I felt that, look, life should be, more than just, a title. I don't need a title to be who I am. I mean, without first degree, I'm still a speaker. I mean, if you remove first degree, I'm still Goke is still sharing, a message. I'm still able to impact. So and when I told my dad that I was going to leave the banking industry, as about 19 years ago, he was so sad. He said, why are you leaving the banking industry? you know I expect that, with this banking, I mean, you can get to the pinnacle of your career and become an MD. I said, no, I don't want to become an MD. And eventually somebody will push me out of the job. I don't want to suffer the same, challenge that you went through. He said, wow. Anyway, he was very reluctant. He was very reluctant. And, but I thank God I made that move then, to decide to leave the banking industry. Probably I would have become an MD, or I would have become a general manager. But you see, I just felt that if I had, even if I become an MD, there's one day they will just come and say I should retire and leave the job. Now, as I am now, I can't retire. Even if I'm 90 years old, by special grace of God, I'll still be adding value. When we look at a mentor like John C. Maxwell, this man is still adding value at almost 80 years old. And so, for me, entrepreneurship has been a journey, but it's been a journey that I'm thankful for. A lot of water has passed under the bridge, but it's a lot of sacrifice. But I can say honestly that if not for this sacrifice, I would not have a story to share today. I remember BC Soji Oyawe was saying something when she was talking with her husband, you know, and she was saying last week that, who are you without your title? And it really shook me. There are quite a number of people that without their title, whether a DGM in the bank or in the oil and gas sector, they're nothing without their title. And that's frightening, Whatever you're doing, and if they remove the title and you're still not as impactful and relevant, then it calls for concern. And so I believe that, whether we have titles or not, we should be able to show up in the marketplace and be able to add value. Yes. So now, concerning the wins that we've had, in the industry, first degree consulting, we've had a lot of wins in the area of, yeah, thank you. Yes, we've had a lot of wins in the area of service, customer service. I just want to share a story, and that's why, I believe the opportunities are available all over the place. A few years back, business was slow, and I saw a post on LinkedIn. A gentleman went into a store, one of these stores, restaurants, and when he got into the restaurant, he was unhappy because the staff was not smiling and it wasn't properly served. And instead of addressing the issue and bringing up with the management, what did he do? This guy went on LinkedIn and began to bash the brand. And what did I do when I saw it? I was like, wow, thank you, thank you. Wow, okay, my big brother, good to see you. So what did I do when I saw that? When I saw that he bashed the brand, I spoke to my wife. I said, look, this is an opportunity for me to get into this organization. She said, yes, why not? And I sent my book to that organization, a very big organization. And I told them we wanted to, help them train their staff in the area of customer service. And what did we do? We sent the book. They invited us and said, okay, they're going to do a free session. We're going to do a free session in Lagos. They're also going to do a free session in Abuja. They'll just pay for our tickets. They pay for, accommodation. And lo and behold, I found myself in Abuja, a free session. But what did I do? I took quite a number of my books, almost about 50 copies. The students, they bought the books. So it was a win-win. Although I wasn't paid for the session, the Lagos session as well, we sold almost about 70 of the books. So it was like, a win-win. But the good part of this story is that 2 months later, this organization now reached out to us and now called us to train a large number of staff, and they paid us for it. Just from a LinkedIn post, we were able to get business. So, the life of an entrepreneur is about identifying gaps, and that's what we've been doing. My one of my mentors, who is late now, Zig Ziglar, he said that you can get everything in life that you want if you can help enough people get what they want. There are opportunities, even during this pandemic, there are a lot of opportunities that are available. It's your ability to, identify gaps and be able to close that gap and be able to fill that need. Yes, opportunities are showing up every day, every day. And so the life of an entrepreneur is about showing up. You need to look at yourself and say, what can I do? What do I have? If that book, I had the book and I just kept it, in my shelf and didn't see a need, to push it out, probably would not have had the opportunity to train that organization. And for that organization is one of our biggest wins, that we've had. We've been able to make impact. The second story I also want to share is another win. Is that thank you, sir. Thank you. The second story I want to share is concerning an insurance company. When we wanted to do training for that organization about 12 years ago, when we got there, the MD said to me, he said, look, who are you, young man? Nobody knows you. As a matter of fact, we don't need people like you. We work with Accenture, we work with, Arthur Anderson, we work with the big consulting companies. Who is first degree, But I knew within me that we could add value. So what did we do? We did a session for them for free on business etiquette and personal grooming. And we told them just to give us an opportunity. And so to the glory of God, they gave us an opportunity. We did a free session. And after that free session, the MD said, where's that young man? And do you know that for almost 11 years, that organization will do trainings and trainings and trainings. And what now happened was that organization partnered with us. This in 2011, that same organization that they said, oh, who are we? They partnered with us. And there was a training in the US, in Minnesota. This organization partnered with us and sent me there, all expenses paid, and to the glory of God, by the time we came back, it was like trade by barter, I now did a training for all their staff all over Nigeria, Port Harcourt, Delta State, Abuja, Ibadan, and we now became partners, and it was now a collaboration. So what am I saying? There are opportunities out there. If you present yourself as a solution for businesses, whether it's COVID or pre-COVID or after COVID, just go out there and continue to show up. There are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities. So I'm going to just give one more example so that I'll leave if there are comments or questions, because I know that there might be some people on this platform that want to ask questions. I must say that entrepreneurship has not been a smooth sail. Starting from real estate, to go into consulting. Like I said, I'd never spoken before, in public. Even when I was in the bank, I was very shy. I couldn't even speak to more than 2 people. So I had to build up that courage. I had to learn, make mistakes. But I must tell you that 19 years on being an entrepreneur, I'm thankful that we have a story to share, something positive. And so, the other story I want to now share is that what has First Degree now been doing with this pandemic. When this pandemic started, initially we thought it wasn't going to get to Africa. That this our weather is robust. So I was thinking that, look, it will still be business as usual. But what happened was that in the in the past few months, all of a sudden, business shut down, social distancing, and no opportunities for us to gather anymore. So all the businesses that we had lined up, despite the fact that we wanted to solve problems, business to business, with all our, retainers and so on, we now got feedback that no more business until further notice. And so that was the impact of that was huge. So what do? We can't just fold our hands and begin to watch. So we had to now recalibrate our business, which is now we moved everything online. And online, it might seem very easy, but it's one of the most difficult because number one, you must have visibility. You don't just move people online. You must have followership. You must have, that element of know, like, and trust. People must trust you. They must like you. You must have been building up your platform, whether on LinkedIn, whether on Facebook, whether on Instagram, for you to now move and begin to have clients. Then you must be able to have the tools, good internet. You must your Zoom platform must be working. You must know how to, and so we have to go and learn that, how to show up in the marketplace. But thankfully, the work is paying off gradually. We have online courses now on Udemy. Udemy is the biggest online portal, over globally. They have about 50 million students as we speak from different countries, over 150 nations. So we've been privileged to have our courses there. We have professional selling skills. We have fundamentals of business etiquette and personal growth. Then we have world-class customer service. So all those courses, these three courses, we have to build them and make them online friendly. And so if you would like to enroll for our courses, if you just go to udemy.com and you have access to the professional selling skills. There's a promo going on at the moment, and also you have access to world-class customer service, and you have access to fundamentals of business etiquette and personal grooming. Yes. So that's that. In closing, we're still work in progress. I must say that we're still learning, and one thing is that we make ourselves available in the marketplace. And as I'm learning from people that are much younger than I am. Keep myself fresh, stay open, and also try and take care of my mental health, because the pressure out there can be much, particularly when you're just pivoting and moving, trying to recalibrate. But thankfully, God has been faithful, and I must say that without God, honestly, there's some businesses that after a few years they collapse, and it's not. Bible says not that willeth nor runneth, it's just God that showed mercy. Excellent. So that's a short story from this end regarding First Degree Consulting, how we started, and the journey thus far. And we have no doubt that it can only get better. Any questions or comments? Any questions? Comments? Please, would like to hear from you. Just ask me anything you would like to ask me. I'm here to answer anything. I think we have another 5-10 minutes to round up. Anything that you'd like to ask me, or comments, please send in your comments into the chat box, at least so that I'll know that you're there. At least you can send an emoji. Yes. Yes. Okay. Please send in your comments or questions at all. Any area of entrepreneurship, any area, whether you want to, move online, if you want to have online presence. Yes. Somebody said, I'm quite elated by all you said, especially on how you can go out there and make things happen with the grace of God. I currently had a chat, okay, on one of our platforms. Okay, you have not finished. Yes. Yeah, I mean, God has been very faithful. I mean, I must say that, entrepreneurship is a journey. It's a journey. It's not a 100 meter dash. And if you don't have the conviction, you can find out that you get very weary. That conviction is what has helped us to remain. I must tell you that the first year that we started, I started as an entrepreneur. I felt like going back, to apply for a job. I remember I went to apply, I think I was an assistant director. So when I was going back home, I said to myself, is this what I planned for myself? I mean, because the pressure was much, I mean, I almost even, abandoned Nigeria to run abroad because I couldn't pay my bills. I couldn't pay my bills. Yes, I couldn't pay my bills. I had, a new wife. My daughter was just growing up. I couldn't, yes. So, I was forced to go and, try and get another job after about a year. But when I remembered what I promised myself, I said, no, it's not going back, it's not going back because, and quite a number of my friends, I must say that they went back to paid employment. They went back, but the challenge is when you go back into paid employment, you still have to come out. You still have to, all the momentum, the benefits, you see, the truth of the matter is that to build a brand, it takes time. It takes time to build a brand, all the top brands that you see in the world, it takes time, the Sarah Energy and so on and so forth, they have really paid their price, they paid their dues. People want to work in blue chip companies. They want to work in, Chevron. They want to work in Mobile. They want to work in all these blue chip companies. But some people pay the price. Some people pay the price. So I'm not saying that everybody must be entrepreneurs, but I'm saying that the journey of being an entrepreneur is it can be tough, but eventually it makes a lot of sense because you give hope to others, you encourage others. And I also know that in Nigeria, because of the enabling environment, when you talk about power, when you talk about infrastructure, these things are taken for granted if you're living abroad, maybe like in the UK, you're living in the US, a small business is being encouraged. But whether we like it or not, we can still, thrive in, but it's just that it's tougher. Your mental toughness has to be very robust to operate in Nigeria, But with the grace of God, Bible says with God, all things are possible. All things are possible. So I have about 2 minutes. At this point, I just want to say that if there are no questions, I want to thank you for joining me to listen to my business story. And I hope that very shortly, soon again, I'll come here to still, come and share some more nuggets. If there are no questions, I want to thank you all for joining me. And I trust that with your prayers, continue to show up and continue to add value. I also want to let you know that at the moment, I help people to publish their books, particularly those who want to write their books, because quite a number of people have books inside them. I remember what Miles Monroe said. Miles Monroe of blessed memory. He said, if you're not able to write a book, you're like a thief to your generation. Very harsh words, but that's the truth, because you must be able to put something down, You must be able to add value. So we have an online course. The third session is starting this Saturday. It's just amazing. I mean, people have gone through the session, and they're fulfilling their purpose. So if you like to join the online course, please join it. I mean, and the money is not really much. It's just 40,000 naira for 3 weeks, 3 Saturdays, 7 to 9 p.m. And if you write your book, even it gives you fulfillment. I mean, people begin to mention your name, and when you go and speak, it's your book. You use your book, chapters in your book, to speak. So please join our online course, which is taking place from this Saturday, and you can send me a DM. For those of us that have joined, please, thank you for showing up to continue to encourage me. And if you feel that you need encouragement, you can just send me a DM as well. We're in this journey together. We're in this journey together, particularly with this pandemic. Everybody is starting from ground zero. There's nobody that has any advantage over anybody. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. God bless you. Thank you.